What's up, Boo Crew? It's me, Selena Spooky Boo, and I went to Instagram and I asked you guys what you wanted from me on YouTube, and the number 1 and 2 things you guys asked about was my scariest stories and how to publish a book and go about writing. And since my first book was about my scariest experiences, I thought, hey, why not smash both of these into one? Because I have one thing that I believe in more in the whole entire world, and that is that every single person has a book inside them, be it a novel, be it a poetry book. And why aren't you publishing it? Let me know what's in your brain. So let's rewind. Many years ago, Selena's 21 years old, okay? 21, 22, I sit down, I say, I'm gonna write a book. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm gonna do the research. I'm gonna write a book. Watch me. And what did I come up with? My first book. I had to tell my story because the truth is, some of the scariest things in the paranormal world had happened to me. And recently, while on a very spooky trip with some very spooky people, I got to talk in depth about the scary things that happened to me as a child, teenager, the things that I did for work back then. And I got to relive it, and I got to remember this book that I'd written because, believe it or not, there was a time when I was too scared to do paranormal stuff. So instead, I started a podcast, which was
The Haunted Estate.
The Haunted Estate, and I wrote this book to go along with it. So I don't know what I am. Clairvoyant, a medium, I don't know. I feel like I'm a bits and pieces of all these different things, and I named myself the home reader. And it's pretty much because I go into a space, I connect, I let myself feel the energy, I see things in different points of time. I can't decide to connect. What comes to me comes to me. I don't choose it out. Sometimes when I see ghosts, they look like people. Sometimes when I see ghosts, they look like ghosts. You never know. But The Home Reader was the first book that I put out. All right. So I'm going to tell you something that's in this book. And also, all these books are available for purchase if you want them on Amazon, and they will pop up during this video. And you can also find them below because the last one I'm going to tell you about, it's really freaking awesome, okay? So rewind, back in time. Selena's a teenager. Selena's doing weird party tricks, okay? I'm talking in third person. I hate this. Anyways, I'm at parties. I'm talking to people's dead relatives. Everyone's too drunk for me to tell them what their grandmother is saying about them. It comes and goes. Sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. It wasn't an all the time thing, but it was a sometimes thing. So somebody thought it would be really funny to take my name and my cell phone number. They put it in the yellow pages. Are any of you guys old enough to remember the yellow pages? Yeah, they put my phone number in the yellow pages under Selena's Psychic Services. I don't know if it was a joke or for true, but it led me to some of the craziest experiences of my life. People would call me in the middle of the night. They would say, I have this, and I would feel compelled to help. I ended up hooking up with a pastor and someone who performed exorcisms. Yeah, the stories get really weird, but some of those stories are inside this book, and I want to tell you about the craziest one that I ever went to, and it is one to this day that I will always remember. This book could be 12 times as fat as this with stories, and you bet your lucky ass I'm thinking about writing another one. That's my true soul story. So is there numbers on the page? No, there's not. It's not well done. The story's there. We don't care about page numbers, do we? Because the story is there. Look at that front cover, right? My gosh. Selena, wait, before we get into the story, how much is it to publish? Nothing. Everyone writes me, how do I find a publisher? How do I publish a book? We'll get into that, but first the story, all right? We're gonna go back quite a few years, okay? This is the exorcism I went to, and it's not a funny story. I'm upbeat right now, but it was a scary story. I got in a call, went with my partners to this house. This house was left to 2 college girls by their grandmother who had practically raised them. When they went off to college, they lived with her. She ended up passing away. They loved their grandmother so much, they fell into quite despair. They were going through a really hard time. They're partying a lot. They weren't going to class. They were doing all these things that they just should not be doing, okay? One thing happens. They meet some guys at the bar. There's an Australian guy. I forget what the other one was. They come back to the house. Some really bad stuff went down. You can imagine one of the worst assaults that can happened to one of the sisters. After that, she really pulled into herself. She stopped going out. She fell down this really deep depression hole, as can be imagined. But then she started to change. She didn't bathe. Voices that weren't hers would come from her. Horrible things would happen. But it manifested first in the house. It manifested with all of the kitchen dishes coming out. It manifested in smells. It manifested in their garden, which could not be accessed by the public, completely bricked in. All the shrubbery ripped to the ground, full of dead birds. Okay. Yeah, I saw pictures of this. It was literally insane. This craziest thing I've ever seen. So they ended up calling us in. I remember walking around. I did my home reading thing, which is I sit down. I get really centered. I'm followed with someone who has cards. They put the name of the room on each card. And when I kind of click into this other realm, the only way that I can explain it, okay? The only way that I can kind of explain what it's like. Do you know the movie Insidious, when they go and they astral project out of their body and they're like in this weird other kind of realm thing? That's kind of what it's like for me. And I could see in the house it was something dark because there was black pools on the ceiling, like when smoke. And I could smell it, and I could see images of what had happened, and I knew that she had gone through, these different levels of infestation, oppression, and possession. It had all happened to this girl. We were in a full-blown possession state thing, and I had never really experienced this with a person before, but the right teams were called in, and I witnessed an exorcism. I witnessed a whole exorcism, okay? Very interesting. Definitely not like the movies where things are flying around, where there are crazy noises, where there are crazy smells. That's what got me the most, was the crazy smells. I'm talking from the smells of apple trees to full sulfur to super sweet decay to a cold winter morning. Very strange. Seasons changing. Seasons in ourselves, seasons around. I don't know. I know I probably, to you, sound bonkers. You had to be there to experience it. But I'll never forget meeting this girl. I say meeting her for a second time because who she was when I met her and who she was the morning after the exorcism was completely different. That was a whole new person. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I knew this stuff was real, but I'm like, this stuff is really, really real. So that was definitely one of the scariest experiences that I have ever freaking experienced. But that's in this book right here. I also talk about my dreams. Lovely. A lot of the time, missing people come to me in my dreams, okay, and they'll tell me where they are, or they'll give me hints, or they'll give me absolutely nothing to go on. Something really interesting in the front of this book that I'm just gonna talk about really, really quick, because someone did want me to touch on mental health. And I feel like it's important to talk about. That conversation should literally never end, okay? I have this in the front of my book, which is the semicolon. And as we all know, this means in writing to pause but not end, all right? Our little town has suffered a large amount of teen self-cancel recently. If you're reading this and find yourself in a dark place, please reach out even to me. Your story is not supposed to end yet. So 2016, almost for a whole year in our town of 30,000 people, a teenager took their life, which was kind of crazy, and everyone was spiraling because we didn't know if there was a pact. To this day, I don't think we still know. I think, I don't think we'd ever want to believe there was a reason or if they were connected, but it was terrifying. But that's one thing that writing did for me in the darkest times of my life. Like 2016 was a dark time for me. I wrote this book fresh off of a second miscarriage, and writing has saved my life. And I think it surprises a lot of people that I do write, which is crazy because writing is what I did first. Writing is what I did before social media. And when I meet people now, they'll be like, oh, like, who's your ghostwriter? Or like, who helped you? And I'm like, all me, baby. All me. I had great editors. Absolutely. Because punctuation is not my forte, but did I write all these stories myself? I did. And that's been kind of my namesake. And everyone always says to me, if you're ever going to be known for one thing, what is it? I'm a writer, baby. I want to always be a writer. I want to write things that make people feel. And the first thing that I wanted to write down was my first story. So it's literally called The Home Reader, A Paranormal Journey by Selena Myers. You know what my funny thing is? That I write a lot better than I talk, okay? I sound like a little twit. But this thing just doesn't connect to this real good, but it connects to these real fancy. Wow. Step back. This book took me about 6 months to write. My next book, which was my absolute most popular book, I don't have the original copy of it. I need to order it. I can't believe I don't have any copies. I'll give them all away. But it was republished last year by Indigo, which is like the Barnes & Noble of Canada, okay? Chapters. That is The Haunting of Clandestine House. So this is kind of a novella. It's not a huge book, but it was always my #1 seller. I wrote this book. I hope you're ready for this, okay? I got inspired and I wrote this book in 4 days. 4 days. I sat at the table. I didn't sleep. I typed and I typed. I had the story in my head. And right now I am working on the screenplay, the film adaptation of this book, which is so different than the book. Hidden deep in the woods on the outskirts of a nearly forgotten town sits Clandestine House. Rumors have run wild about this place for more than a century. It is known as the house that swallows people whole. What secrets reside in Clandestine House? It isn't until an out-of-town buyer, Hannah Watts, wins the house in an online auction that the dark past of the home comes to light. What happened to the clandestine family? What will happen to Hannah? Dun, dun, dun. In my head, even as I wrote this, Hannah is based off of Michelle Milett. Katie from Letterkenny. I just feel if it's ever a movie, she needs to be Hannah. But the screenplay is so much different. Okay, I like the book, but the movie's gonna be so good. Manifest with me. We're gonna turn this into a movie. It's an A24 movie. It's like a Neon movie or a Blumhouse. We're gonna manifest it. If you're from there, hit me up. I have your next blockbuster. Hey! So when it comes to publishing books, I said it was free. It literally is, okay? Publishing books, you use a website if you want to. It is kdp.com, okay? KDP is Amazon. As we all know, Amazon runs freaking everything. Amazon, before it was the Amazon that you know, was a book company. And the most interesting thing about that is they have made it so you can self-publish, but still like own your book and stuff like that. So you go on there, you upload your manuscript, KDP, you get assigned an ISBN number, which is what the libraries use, and I self-published. So if you want to see the quality of the self-published books, there's The Home Reader, which was a glossy book. There was Blackwick Falls. This one is matte. You can see I've read this one a couple times. Going through making notes. And then there's also the hardcover, which this was the original copy of Hollow, which is my most recent book. Let's talk about Hollow really quick before I head off. Hollow. I really love forest vibes. That was my initial thought with this. It's definitely a very masculine looking book, all right? But Hollow is the story that has lived inside my head forever, okay? It has been writing itself in my brain. I'm already like halfway through the second book in my brain. Is it down on paper? No. But it's juicier and it's so much sexier. And there's some sexier scenes in the rewrite if you haven't read it. As soon as this went out, it was so popular. I didn't push it too hard, but they were like, no, we're gonna make this crazy. So guys, I need you to pre-order this right now. You can pre-order it on Barnes & Noble. You can pre-order it, I think, on Indigo if you're in Canada. You can pre-order it on Amazon if you just wanted to show up at your house. It comes in hardcover. So this is just a proof, okay? It literally says proof. And you know what's funny? I see it. Everyone's like, oh my God, that looks like Chris. It does kind of. I think it's that awesome jawline. It's not Chris on the front. It's just, this is Mia Adair, okay? And the book is going to be sprayed edges. It's going to look like blood dripping down. It is a collector's item. I hope that you freaking love it. Link is going to be down below. But if you guys have any questions about publishing, first freaking do it. You say, I don't know where to start. Start with one sentence. Write down one sentence that you want in this book. Build around it. None of my books do I really start at the top. I start by, I get all my characters, okay? I give them a little backstory so I can get to know them as people. Maybe I'll write a little short story to inspire it. Maybe I'll think about it. Maybe I'll just like write things out. Maybe I will go on the internet and just save pictures of random people. Get it visual. Make it alive in your brain. Choose a chapter, choose an event, write a paragraph. You don't have to work from start to beginning, and you don't need to sit down and hammer it out. If you got 10 minutes, do it for 10 minutes. If you got 12 hours, sit down, do it for 12 hours. Sometimes like to body double, go on live, write while you're live. You know, it makes people feel like they're a part of it. And the truth is they end up being a big part of it. When I wrote Hollow, I read so many things back and we worked on that book together and it was gorgeous. Okay? I love writing more than anything. But now let's jump into cover art and formatting a book. There's chickens outside. They shouldn't be down here. Anyways, they're here. People are gonna get really mad at me when I say this, but this was a long time ago and I feel like it was the only option then. I don't suggest it now as much, okay? But when it came to getting the format for the cover, getting the interior formatted, as you can see, these ones do have page numbers. They do a lot better now, okay? These were a very long time ago. I went to Fiverr. Now, there's a lot of better sites where you can get people to do things. I'm gonna list them off for you right now. There's Upwork, where it's more structured, it's hourly or project-based. There is freelancer.com, People Per Hour, TopTel, and Guru. I did use Fiverr because that was the only one that I thought existed back then. So do not come for me. I was a child and I just fully did not know any of the things. But I went on there. There was people, you literally put in KDP cover art, tell them the stuff that you want. They're going to use royalty-free images. You can do that. Or there's people that's like $500 that will design you your very own cover to all the specifications. But the first thing that you do before you do your cover, which doesn't sound as fun, you get your whole entire edited project. You can find editors on any of these websites. You can get your friends to edit it. Anything that you think is good, I suggest getting an editor, then getting a bunch of family or friends to read it to see if they catch anything else. Then go and find yourself someone who's going to format. So on any of these pages, put in KDP formatting. You're going to have someone who is going to be able to format for you. Then when it comes your cover, you can use any of these websites or go on Facebook or Instagram and ask who's a graphic designer who can create things. But yeah, you can have really cool, like, look at this. Look how cool that is. This is the third book, Blackwick Falls. Okay, now this is a really fun one. This is me diving into witches. I'm more of a vampire ghost girl, but I'm very much a witchy girl too. Oh, all my books are women driven. I can't write as a man. I don't like when men write as women. I can tell. Okay, so I'm not even gonna try it. Anyways, after the tragic loss of her mother, 19-year-old Billy Gladstone finds herself in the small town of Blackwick Falls. She was raised thinking that she and her mother were all alone in the world. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Quickly, Billy is thrown into a whole new world that she could have never imagined existed. Billy never believed in witches or magic. So who was this new rich family? How did they know about her? Why are they telling her she's a witch? And why did her mother never tell her about them? With this new life comes so many questions about her past. But most importantly, what does this mean for her future? And oh my gosh, this is my publishing company. I created my own little publish company, made this little logo called Overcast Publishing. It's cute. I think it's cute. It was a trot. It was fun. But no, this book, you know, it's not the most popular. I'm going to be honest with you. Out of all my books, this sells the least, is what it is. I'm an honest girl. Wait, do I need to tell you another spooky story? There's so many at this point. The Huntsville estate. So that's really cool. It was about an hour outside of Huntsville. But there was a man whose mother had passed away and she had left him a house. And he didn't really know about the house. It was kept up for all the years. It was left in a trust from his mother's parents and they lived out of the way. So when he found out about this after she passed away, he thought, I'm gonna drive up there. I'm gonna find literally garbage, which is, it's funny because the Huntsville estate, I think, inspired the haunting of Clandestine House because it was such an interesting story. Okay. So this guy and his wife head down to see this abandoned house. He thought at this point it's probably just land. Shows up. There is a house, okay? And it's been in good condition. There was a dude, he was like a neighbor, kind of kept it in good condition, cut the lawn, stuff like that. They go in the house, like there's not really any, I don't think there was electricity or anything at this point, but he goes into this old farmhouse. And yeah, once they get in there, it was okay for a bit. Some strange things happen, but they decided to open it as an inn, like a bed and breakfast type of situation. As soon as people started staying at the house that weren't related to him, crazy things would happen. They did this one night where they had done like some kind of contest for people to like do free stays. And these people had come to the house and everyone had an experience that night. Like people left, like really scary stuff. Water in the hallway out of nowhere, a kid seen in the hall when there was no kids there, like stuff like that. Then the day after all these people left, they wake up, every screen from every window was on the ground outside the house. Like it had blown out, but nothing was ever heard, anything like that. So I did my home reading and we came to the conclusion that the house had been abandoned. He didn't know why his mom had left, but it all came to fruition. We realized that the spirits of these house, the people who had built it, they were forced to leave after a bunch of children had died of sickness. They were trying to like get away from the sickness and then just ended up somewhere else. I don't know if it was money, but they couldn't come back. Anytime someone stayed in the house that wasn't a relative, that wasn't like married in or a relative, crazy things would happen. They tried opening it as an inn again, same stuff happened. They decided to stop using it as an inn and nothing happened. Like that is horrifying. They hold so much power. Even though this house had sat empty for like 90 years or something crazy like that, was absolutely insane. And that was definitely one of the scariest things. Like I have been, and I wanted like take this with a grain of salt, all right? I have been out of every 50 hauntings that I go to, one of them is crazy. But like 99% of the time, okay, it's like, oh, there's a little some here. There's some residual energy. There's something going on. But there are the ones that are very freaking intense. And those are the ones that I write about. And I have been to a lot. Not as much since I got, popular on the internet. Those are more with friends and we do like the haunted locations and stuff like that. But I have some really big news coming soon that might blow your socks off. Okay, it has to do with me, has to do with Adam, has to do with spooky stuff. So you're probably gonna shit your pants. But let's talk about Hollow really quick before I head off. Hello. I really love forest vibes. That was my initial thought with this. It's definitely a very, very masculine looking book. All right. But Hollow is the story that has lived inside my head forever. Okay. It has been writing itself in my brain. I'm already like halfway through the second book in my brain. Is it down on paper? No, but it's juicier and it's so much sexier. And there's some sexier scenes in the rewrite. If you haven't read it, as soon as this went out, it was so popular. I didn't push it too hard, but they were like, no, we're going to make this crazy. So guys, I need you to pre-order this right now. You can pre-order it on Barnes & Noble. You can pre-order it, I think, on Indigo if you're in Canada. You can pre-order it on Amazon if you just wanted to show up at your house. It comes in hardcover. So this is just a proof, okay? It literally says proof. And you know what's funny? I see it. Everyone's like, oh my God, that looks like Chris. It does kind of. I think it's that awesome jawline. It's not Chris on the front. It's just, this is Mia Adair, okay? And the book is going to be sprayed edges. It's going to look like blood dripping down. It is a collector's item. I hope that you freaking love it. Link is going to be down below. But if you guys have any questions about publishing, first freaking do it. You say, I don't know where to start. Start with one sentence. Write down one sentence that you want in this book. Build around it. None of my books do I really start at the top. I start by, I get all my characters, okay? I give them a little backstory so I can get to know them as people. Maybe I'll write a little short story to inspire it. Maybe I'll think about it. Maybe I'll just like write things out. Maybe I will go on the internet and just save pictures of random people. Get it visual. Make it alive in your brain. Choose a chapter, choose an event, write a paragraph. You don't have to work from start to beginning, and you don't need to sit down and hammer it out. If you got 10 minutes, do it for 10 minutes. If you got 12 hours, sit down, do it for 12 hours. Sometimes I like to body double, go on live, write while you're live. You know, it makes people feel like they're a part of it. And the truth is they end up being a big part of it. When I wrote Hollow, I read so many things back and we worked on that book together and it was gorgeous. Okay? But anyways, I love you guys. I love writing books and hopefully Hollow. Okay? This one should be a TV show. This is a TV show. This is a movie. Let's manifest together. We're all gonna write books, gonna be great. All right, Boo Crew. I love you. And until next time, stay creative. I have to fart, so I'm gonna go. Bye. Mia was always the name that I wanted to name my daughter. And when I was writing this book was very much, I had decided I was just never going to have children. This is before we started the surrogacy journey, all this. But Mia was always going to be my daughter. So, yeah.